Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 25 of Code Geass. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. So it seems like we're picking right up with where we ended off with Cornelia, which is to say, not in a good place. And it seems like, Lelouch has decided to reveal himself, which indicates to me she's probably not long for this world. And, I was thinking about this episode last night, or the previous episode I should say, and I'm wondering what's going to happen because there's so many things, so many people in play here. I have nothing really to support this, but I feel like Nunnally might die, So I think that would be like a nice, ironic, sort of tragic twist. Just, twisting the knife into Lelouch, even though he's essentially achieving everything right now, dominating his enemies and, preparing to reshape the world as he sees fit. So I guess now he's gonna get some answers. Oh, I guess not. So, interestingly enough, Cornelia doesn't know anything either, and she was seemingly in the best position to know. So, it seems to me that if Cornelia doesn't know, then only Lelouch's late mother, who is of no help at this point, would know. And, it probably goes higher, right? It would have to be the Emperor, wouldn't it? Oh dear. So, seeing as how Cornelia doesn't really know anything, and seeing as how Clovis and Euphemia were fit to kill, I get the feeling Cornelia is not going to survive. But I guess she does have some information. It seems like Schneizel is involved in some way, so I don't know. Things are interesting. So, I guess at the very least, Lelouch is not willing to kill her outright. Ooh. Oh, it's Agent Orange. Oh dear. So... Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's probably not a good idea to tease the guy, because he's not exactly stable. But, maybe teasing him is the right thing to do, since he's clearly off his rocker as it is. Who knows? With all the experimentation he's been through, he might have a stroke and die or something. You never know. But, it seems like he sort of broke out that laboratory. That's, probably not a good thing for the researchers, Heads are certainly gonna roll. You know, I do have to say, this opening music is a considerable downgrade from the previous opening, and it really does pale in comparison to the first one. It's a little disappointing, especially because I liked the previous songs so much. So, back with this scientist, the Baron here. You know, he's really talking like he's not human, which is a little concerning, but considering he just got punched in the face pretty severely, like, you know, I can imagine being a little bit rattled. So, I guess back to Suzaku, like, they're basically trying to cut him out of the nightmare frame, which is understandable, but, I don't know. I feel like maybe they're trying too hard to salvage things. And I guess, you know, it's nice that Ogi isn't dead. But, oh. Ooh, man. Imagine being the subordinate who's like, Ogi's more important than the girl in the wheelchair. It's like, woo, buddy. Oh, man. So, I do hope Ogi pulls through despite the seeming severity of the gunshot wound, but, you know, I think it's much more important that Nunnally is okay, because, I do believe V2, you know, like, sort of shepherded her away. I don't want to say, like, kidnapped, because I don't think that's really true, but, you know, that interaction indicates to me that something's probably going to happen, and it's probably not going to be good. Because, like, no matter what happens when you get down to it, Nunnally doesn't deserve it. Like, she's probably the most unambiguously good person in all of this. Or maybe not good necessarily, but innocent. That's probably the better way to put it. Wow. So despite looking like a big wonky fat thing, whatever this alleged nightmare frame is, it's highly maneuverable. Perhaps this is just because of all the experimentation done on Mr. Orange here. But for him to keep up with a Gawain like this, that's interesting to me. So I like that Zero just, you know, continues to call him Orange, you know, keep him off balance, because, like, really, that's like the big great fault in his life. Were it not for that, you know, he might still have his rank and all that. Ooh. So I'm wondering, is Suzaku going to get out of the nightmare frame? I feel like that might not be a good idea, but I guess if it'll save Shirley and the others, he might be willing to do that. You know, why did I even wonder? It makes sense that he would, but probably at considerable risk to himself. Oh, the cat. Oh, surely he wouldn't shoot Arthur, right? Okay. Alright, we're good. You know, other Britannian forces have shown up, probably to ruin everything. Yeah, so I guess the question is Suzaku gonna be back in the game now? Like, will they destroy that field and allow the Lancelot to work again? I mean, it seems likely, but the question is, I guess if Suzaku gets involved, like, is it going to be a three-way melee between him, Agent Orange, and Zero, or will he work in concert with the crazy guy? You know, it's hard to say. Frankly, I'm not sure what's going to happen, because I don't think Agent Orange is in a right frame of mind to work with anyone at this point. So I guess the question is, where do things go from here? Because surely we're going to have more giant robots fighting. And, ooh. Okay, so if Cornelia's talking, like, clearly she wasn't taken hostage, so I guess... Well, we should have known that, I guess, seeing as how Lelouch sort of left in a hurry, but the question is, Does she pass along the relevant tactical information or what? Because, I feel like Suzaku wouldn't be in a position to be willing to just, help the normal battle. He would want to go after Zero. Yeah, so despite how well things were going for the Black Knights, it seems like the tides might be shifting. The Black Knights are falling back here in the face of this resistance, and now it seems like there's a bit of a counter-offensive taking place. I don't know. Even so, it feels like things can still shift back and forth. Ooh. Okay. So, Cornelia wants to hide her injuries, which is understandable. However, while it might maintain morale in the short term, I feel like if she were to die of her injuries, that would be rather crushing. And so that island is coming into play again, that Kamina Island. So, I guess that really is central to everything for one way or another. And I'm wondering if that's where V2 is taking Nunnally. Because it seems like this really is the sort of epicenter of all the goings-on, at least in terms of the Geass. Alright, so good old Dietert here. He's up to something. I definitely don't trust him, and he is media scum, so I feel like he might undermine the Black Knights if it would benefit him. Because it seems like without Zero around, the Black Knights are in a bit of a disarray to a degree. So, they're all awaiting his orders, but if he's going off to Kamine Island, who's gonna lead him? Okay, so that's, That's interesting that Ogi's being so vague about everything, but I guess it might make sense if he's lost a lot of blood. So I guess the question is, how is Kalan going to follow the Lancelot? Because it seems like that was kind of what Ogi was talking about in a roundabout way. Oh, I guess they have their own sort of Oh no. I was going to say that's like a jump jet or something, but no, it's Nina, and boy howdy is she doing something. That's gotta be a nuclear device, right? I was kind of being flippant about it, saying she had built an atomic bomb, but I really think that was all what the foreshadowing was pointing towards, right? Oh boy, yeah. So, I mean, surely at this point she should be the highest priority target, right? Somebody just wielding an atomic device like that, surely that can't be allowed to stand by either group. So I guess, her only goal is to take Zero with her, but, she's a little misguided. He's not around, and, they called that thing the Ganymede. I don't know if it's capable of following. So, frankly, I don't think she's stable enough to listen if someone were to say, yeah, we don't know where he is. We saw her hand trembling over the button. Okay, yeah, so it seems like the island is the place to be. So, yeah, that's interesting. C2's saying she doesn't recognize this place or anything like that, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe she's lying by omission here. Maybe she knows something, or she suspects something. I don't know. Despite everything, she's still not trustworthy. Ooh, interesting. So it's essentially like a trap for intruders. And I'm wondering if maybe they're especially affected because they have or are related to Geasses. I mean, like, this is very clearly C2 in the First World War. Wow. So she's suffered a whole bunch, you know, being burned as a witch, being shot in the trenches, witnessing the dropping of the atomic bombs. Well, that's something to not remember whether or not you're truly human, because I guess it gets to a point where if you've lived so long, you know, everything just sort of blends together. Alright. You know, I'm not sure if I agree with Lelouch's assessment here, but maybe in the heat of the moment, you know, witnessing someone's memories of being burned at the stake, you know, you might be willing to say something a bit rash. Especially considering that, you know, she's essentially the only person here to help you. So unfortunately, he does have to contend with Agent Orange here. Yeah, it seems like, despite how competent it is, even the Gawain has its limits. Okay. That's interesting that C2 would sort of stay behind to fight. Although I guess Zero would be leaving her with the Gawain, right? You know, the question is, will Lelouch be able to win on his own? I mean, I guess he's being given a bit of courage with which to act, but I don't know. There's still that V2 character, and judging by the name, I'd imagine he would have to be immortal too, right? Wow. You know, it's incredible that C2 is fighting much more viscerally now. Yeah. You know, it does seem like things are sort of working into, maybe not a stalemate, but bordering on defeat. You know, like if the Black Knights are dying, maybe not in droves, but considerably, like that's not something I feel they've ever really had to do, you know? They've sort of been able to just win, so without Zero to guide them, you know, they're not in good shape, and you know, it's a bit unfortunate that the Black Knights were allowed to have this sort of one point of failure, to the point where when he's not there to lead and hold everyone's hand, they're sort of worried that he's abandoned them. Which, you know, that's not true at all, necessarily, but, you know, it's just Nunnally is more important. So I guess the question is, you know, I say that like it's just one question, but there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. What's this island? What's the purpose of it? Why was Nunnally taken here? But I guess all of that will have to wait until Suzaku and Zero duke it out. You know, something tells me one of them's gonna have to die, and I feel like it's probably gonna be Suzaku. So yeah, there we go. You know, that he knows about the Geass is a considerable advantage. You know, Lelouch can't really lie about things anymore, even if he has, you know, his own version of the truth, for want of a better term. Ooh. Okay. So I guess it's nice that the bullet merely glanced off and broke the helmet, but, I guess this is the big reveal for everyone. Nobody really knew who Zero was. At least none of the people here, and boy howdy. I bet it's a bit of an unwelcome surprise for all involved. And I guess it's also rather unfortunate that Zero's already Geassed both of them, so he can't really, get out of this with that. He's gonna have to think of something else. I had thought that he probably would sort of use the active Geass on Suzaku to try and bait him into something, but I don't see how he could possibly do that now. I guess it's also interesting that Kallen is sort of having her faith shaken, because he is a Britannian. None of this makes sense on the face. It only makes more sense when you realize he has a personal vendetta. But even then, it's not really something Kallen and the Japanese Liberation Front would want for essentially an outsider to try and save them. I guess from their perspective, outsiders would be precisely the problem in all regards. So I guess the question is, now that she knows, what's Kallen gonna do, right? Surely she couldn't just abide by him dying, but at the same time, I feel like she's a little too shaken to help him outright. Man. So, I guess it's nice that Suzaku seemingly has some degree of pause, but I don't know. I think he's a little too angry to think rationally about things. Oh. Okay, so Lelouch had planned ahead. He's got like a little dead man switch, so, if you want to go up in the blast too, then go ahead and shoot me. Ooh. Those are some pretty harsh words, but it's interesting that in the end they both sort of succumb to anger to shoot at one another, rather than actually save Nunnally, who is most important. Alright, so interestingly enough, we catch up with Agent Orange in C2. It makes sense, seeing as how she said this was like a lover's suicide. But I don't know, clearly she's not dead. So I'm wondering, is she acting as a narrator here, or is she sort of like pontificating to herself that essentially like one little wish was the spark that cooked off this whole thing? Yeah, so I guess that's kind of interesting that, despite it being sort of wrong, people are sort of judged collectively whether they like it or not. And, you know, when that sort of thing happens, things get messy. So I guess the question is, like, there are a lot of things unresolved at the end of this episode. When are they going to start getting resolved? Because I imagine that's going to be something. Yeah, you know, I'm wondering if C2's going along with Lelouch, I guess because of his human desire, you know. It seems like she didn't really interact with too many people, and you might have been the first one she glommed onto after waking up. Oh well. That's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, Space Cowboy.